Hey, great Monday evening. It is a beautiful evening in the city of Brownsville. It has been a typical Monday, and by a typical Monday, it is just a manic Monday. A manic Monday, and I'm going to say it was a manic Monday because I hardly stepped outside of my office today. I've been here since early this morning, since the morning show. I did a couple of rounds here or there. Went a little scootering back and forth, but basically been here all day long. It's not a great thing. Not anything that I'm proud of, actually. And tonight is a very special night. We have, of course, with us Frank. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
Oh, good evening, Erasmo. Hello, Coach. How's it going? Good
Frankie
evening,
guy,
world.
fine.
Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a good start to their week. It seems like it was a hot day today. I myself got out of the office late. Typical Monday, but all in all, glad to be here at Erasmo and glad to be here with Coach.
Thank you.
And a special guest tonight, Coach Joe Rodriguez. Coach, how have you been, Coach?
Just trying to make it, man. Laying low in the tall weeds here.
Hey, you look good for being 62, bro.
I was. Thank
It's
you.
always an honor to have Coach out here. Coach, well known throughout our athletics. And speaking of athletics, man, I heard a show this Sunday at 12:30. I had one of our very own Fred Villarreal on there with the sports talk at 12:30. So it's there, it's always good to have other avenues in regards to getting individuals talking about different subjects that are of importance, and not only to our students out there and to our district, but also throughout the community. So I hear I got a couple of calls Sunday saying, "Man, that sports talk is a hit," and I heard it was a hit because a lot of the coaches were calling me saying, "Man, we need stuff like that down here," and it's a great avenue to promote our students and to encourage our students, to continue ahead, to continue to get those amazing scholarships up there, and you to continue to be accepted into those schools up there. And I mentioned that because that's one of the things that I know for a fact that Coach Joe Rod is very, very passionate about. Our athletes, our students excelling, in that which that they thrive in, that natural talent that they have. So again, thanks, Coach, for being on here with us tonight, man.
Well, let me interject. I'm very interested in two things, co-curricular and extracurricular. And the extracurricular, of course, is athletics, anything outside the school day, and co-curricular is a part of the school system. And the fine arts is a part of the school system. I'm very interested in fine arts. And I was a strong promoter of our fine arts program that we were going to develop. And then we ran into a snafu at one time because it would take us $1,500,000 to bring it up to speed before we built anything. So that put a stop to it. We were well on our way to developing that. As you know, any improvements that we made through TRE, we made the same amount of money we spent in athletics as we did in fine arts. We spent $8.1 million in making 6 turf fields, the scoreboard, and the sound system. That cost us a total of $8 million from TRE funds, which received 81% favorable vote from the citizens of Brownsville. But we also spent the same amount of money in fine arts. We built facilities in Porter and Pace, which cost us $4.1 million, and 3.9 million, which totals 8,000. So we spent the same amount of money in those fields, and then we were going to follow through and build the fine arts program, which was we had an amount of money that was scheduled and getting ready to make the plans to make it a state of the art and one of the best. Of course, we want to be the leaders in those two programs. The thing about those two programs is they keep kids. Research has shown they keep kids in school longer. They have more graduations from those efforts by being participants in those things.
Well, one of the things that attracts a lot of the students throughout the city of Brownsville, to BISD is actually the amazing, sports programs, and also the amazing fine arts programs that you can't necessarily find at any of the other options that are available here in the city of Brownsville. So, it's fair to say that, because of our sports programs and our fine arts programs, a lot of the students that we seem to lose at the middle school age level, or even the elementary school, they seem to start to want to make their trip back into public school, into BISD, in order to take part in a lot of those extracurricular, intercurricular activities out there. So, and we appreciate that. What is we did the Fine Arts Center first, then bought the scoreboard, then the new gyms. Uh, that's a fair question, and I think and I think the confusion comes from the TRE and the tax increase. The TRE, coach, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The TRE was specifically for improvements having to do with a lot of the facilities things, and the tax increase that came later on, which I think that y'all voted for, was the amount of money that was set aside in order to construct the Fine Arts Center. Is that about right?
Well, not only the Fine Arts Center, there were other. You got to remember that it was brought about because of there were schools that hadn't been touched in 80, 70 years. And I hate to say this, but I got called in by a principal for me to go visit her school, and there was a lot of feces coming out of the boys' restroom. Says it couldn't be fixed, and she called every day to get it done, and it couldn't get done because we were at a standstill. Some of those schools hadn't been touched in 70, 80 years. And here's the deal about the taxes levy. It was only for 5 years, and we haven't kept. I'm running to ensure that we keep our promise to the citizens of Brownsville and have the lowest taxes. That's part of my program. The first part of my program to run for re-election. I don't need to do this, okay? But I have so much to give back to the students of Brownsville, so much to give back to the citizens of Brownsville. You have to understand, I'm in the bracket to where I'm in the most danger of anybody else. But Brownsville has been my hometown of my four. It's been my career. Anything I've done is Brownsville. I live and bleed the kids of Brownsville. I love the kids of Brownsville because once you capture their heart, they'll give you everything they have in you, and that's what it was exemplified, and that's why I've been inducted in 4 Hall of Fames. One of them for baseball. That's of course the talent, but the other 3 are all responsible for the kids of Brownsville that played for me.
And I will say that the only thing, and just to clarify in regards to the gyms, the tax increase also, if I'm not mistaken completely, also included the Hannah gym to be built, which hopefully will be finished by the end of this year. With that said, the Fine Arts Center was phase 1, but this current board has phased it out completely.
Let me take correct. See, you have to understand that the gymnasium at Hannah, because I was there when we moved from the old high school to Hannah. Okay, the gymnasium was built with 700 students. Do you know how many students attended during that time? 5,000 students, 2,500 seniors from 7 to 12:30, and from 1 to 6 junior freshmen and sophomores. They were a split schedule. That was the worst. And you know what? We had a great championship team during that time. The kids would sleep at the gym because we didn't practice till 5 o'clock because we needed the sophomores to play, which we needed to make up the team. That was unbelievable. Our coaches would sleep in the gym. I mean, it was really a total nightmare. You know what? How many pep rallies we had? We had 1 pep rally. The cheerleaders had to get up on top of the roofs to cheer. We had 1 pep rally. We were going to play Alice at Alice, who hadn't been defeated in district play in 6 years. And I'll tell you one thing, how great the kids of Brownsville are. We were on our way in a chartered bus, and the captains came to me to the front of the bus and said, "Coach, the boys want to stop at a sacred place. It doesn't matter what place. We want to stop at a church." to say our prayers to ourselves, no denomination, and we did that. That's the first time ever in my 17-year career history that I've been encountered with that. That's how great our kids are. You don't expect me to love them, man. I mean, you know, I live and die for them.
Coach, we have previously talked about how this board has failed to provide our community with a performing arts center. What's your take on this coming board? Would it be one of your platforms, one of your goals to make sure that BISD constructs a performing arts center as soon as possible?
Absolutely. We were on our way to getting that done. If you recall, we were getting ready to get the city along with us. You know, we're talking about everybody and his mother has fine arts facilities. You know, you go to Harlingen, you go whatever, McAllen, you know, but and you know, the question is why? Everybody talks about the scoreboard. Why should Westlaco have a scoreboard and we have a junior high scoreboard? The 13th, we have a Coliseum at Sam Stadium. It can't be replicated. It's worth about $80 million if you want to bring the rock from San Antonio to build it here. We have the only time it's ever been touched by the Sam's Foundation people that we brought them in to see our facility, and they asked me because I was one of the people that was on the city park board that made the zoo, and I invited them, said, what do you need, Coach? We don't give money anymore to stadiums. We give it to church, to colleges and churches. And I said, well, we'll make an exception. They built us the 2 dressing rooms that are outside the Coliseum, Sam Stadium. They're right outside, and they're used every game. They're used, either the opponents or the home team uses that. Rivera used to use it used to have the opponents every game that they played.
You mentioned the scoreboard, and Joe has a question. So if a board member supported the fine arts, why then attempt to broadcast advertising during halftime on the new scoreboard at the football games? Wouldn't that have affected the fine arts band students?
Well, let me tell you this. We know it was a cost, but we know 2 other towns have it. And what they do is they raise funds through advertisement. For example, a parent wants to advertise his cheerleader daughter. He pays $100. They pay fees. They have a waiting line in Westlaco where they raise $100,000 a year and a waiting line to get advertisement, you know? And the problem is that there has to be a setup. We're just beginning. There has to be a setup of how, when the bands play, when you don't put a sign over there, or can you put a cheerleader over there without any deal? Just let her appear, and you charge the person a tax, and it'd be paid by itself. They didn't let us get to that point because the people said, we want to listen to our kids. That's fine. Let's work out a system when they play. If they want to play 5 songs during the half, because the second half, I don't think they play too much, but during the first half, set the time, you know, get together. But we're just beginning. We're just kicking the door down to open up the house. You know, the Coliseum, it's a shame. The Coliseum, there's nothing like it south of San Antonio, anywhere in Texas. It was only built that way. Those are the only two stadiums built like that with that kind of rock. They're built out of, you know, go to, you need to go visit. The only board member that ever went to visit anybody was Philip Cowan, that went to FAR, and he hired the architect to come down here and say, hey, you're going to do this for us or whatever. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I mean, whatever the board wants to do and so forth, but that's how things come about. You know, and I have no problem talking about the scoreboard.
No,
I've never been given an opportunity. It was the most vetted thing that ever been done in Brownsville. Why did we not vet the 20 acres that are where we planned to build the Fine Arts Center? When we went to begin, we had to put in $1.5 million to bring it up to raising deal. Does the city want to? Does the school district want to pay $1.5 million before you even start a building?
No, no, not at all. And again,
You had those has to be thought, and those are the problems that I have, and that's my number one uh, uh, thing. That why I'm running. The first thing is the safety of the kids and the of course the employees, all the employees. I mean that's number one. We're encountering something that since 1918, something that nobody knows. It's a trial and error thing, but you know what? If I have anything to instruct parents, don't let your children get any complexes about what we're going through. You be the adult in the classroom and love them and tell them you love them every day and ensure that they're going to be safe, because I will never send a student or a teacher or an employee into a place that might endanger their health. Anything. That's number one.
We agree.
The second thing was the fine arts program. That's the second goal of mine.
Good. And one of the things that I will say, the scoreboard did come into. I mean, it was amazingly used, especially with the graduations during the pandemic. It was great that it was there. Again, we could go back and forth in regards to the price and to what it costs and what it didn't cost. One thing that I appreciated was actually seeing my beautiful face on that big old scoreboard every so often. But that's a story for another day. But the other question that Enrique makes, and I'll ask the question, but I'll respond it because I know that I researched this. Good evening, gentlemen. Mr. Rodriguez, the new gym at Hannah was built on the Hannah band practice field, which is right next to the band hall. Why was this done so? And I will take a shot at this because I asked the same question, Enrique. It made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. No sense whatsoever. And I did bring it up personally to the board in regards to why didn't we have the new gym built on the other side of the property that we owned at Hannah. Back there in the back where we have the other parking lot, there was a capability of doing it there. This board was adamant. And I pushed it because I listened to my band folk out there. My band folks didn't want it there. They wanted to continue to have their field so they could practice, and this board refused. So it was ultimately the last call, the decision made by this board. I don't know if that's the what that Mr. Rodriguez, Coach Rodriguez, if you have anything to add in regards to building the gym on this side of Hannah.
Well, we left during the time before it began. Let me tell you this about Hannah. We had 700 seats at Hannah. 200 are filled up, or 150 by athletes that want to see the game. So now we have opponents. We say, well, you can have 300 on one side. We're talking about opponents that come in. Hannah's. They had one of the best basketball teams in the history of basketball in Brownsville. And so consequently, is it fair for the parents not even to be able to see their kids play? No. I mean, so consequently, I fought, build another gym. You know what they did? Build a gym. They built a 300-seat gym. Well, now we have 700 seats and we got 300 seats. Why build the gym? Why not build the gym you built now? Where it's located and it's being built. We were out of there to make that decision. I can't tell you the reason why.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand it either. It boggled my mind. It actually pissed me off that they would do that. Sorry, Frank.
Coach, we recently heard from Mr. Gilbert Leal, the athletic director for BISD, state that the district anticipates returning in October with fall sports, volleyball, cross country, and football. What are your thoughts regarding this current situation? Are you in favor of having our kids participate in football, which is a very contact sport, go back in October, Coach?
Well, a lot of those things are being, decided out of Austin. Now, remember that my one platform is the safety of the students. That's number one. I would hate to be a part of anything that happened to any of our students or our employees. I mean, I think that there's some colleges, for example, Alabama started in the first day they had what, over 1,000 students that got affected. I mean, we have to find a solution first, and at the same time we have to ensure the education of our kids. Now, what are we doing? We're doing virtual learning, and that's good. I mean, but you know what? There's a lot of parents that do not understand it, and they can't help their students, and that's why we have to find avenues to educate our students. I said about the homework hotline. I said, why not give teachers the best instruction they can to do virtual learning? How are we going to check when it comes down? We still have about what, 5,000 students from Mexico that haven't come here. Can you imagine the cost to the district of how much 5,000 times $5,641 or whatever it is that they pay you per student for attendance? Can you imagine that if they take that on October and whatever and don't postpone it, how much it cost BISD? Talking about into the fund balance that we had building it up, or we're supposed to have 3 months.
It's decimated. They've already started to decimate the fund balance. They already started to abuse and use it like in ways that it has never been used before. It was at $218 million. Right now, my best guess is probably at 175. My best guess. Why would you vote? Why did you vote for the District of Innovation when even many teachers were against it? It was promised by the board that it would be approved only for the calendar. However, the website says greater local control.
When we were faced with that just came about, and it was only for the calendar. And at one time, for example, we tried to emulate what Los Fresnos did 2 weeks earlier, whatever, and finished 2 weeks earlier. And then there was an objection by some parents. Well, I already have my vacation, et cetera, et cetera. But those decisions are made by administration after they've been vetted by everyone. I mean, it's important to exchange the ideas and have a school representatives from, and say, okay, here's what we're thinking about. This is a democracy. It's not a dictatorship. I mean, we don't know anything. I mean, and then it comes to the board. So decisions by administrations come to the board. Now, the first thing, you have to have your people happy. I mean, I would take to pay for a vacation and $5,000 to go to Europe or wherever I go, and
or
then
Disney World.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Question: are you still associated with BSN and receive a commission on sales to BISD?
Well, let me tell you this. That is a falsehood. I've never received a commission from BSN. I was named, and listen to this, the first and only ambassador in the state of Texas by the Sporting Goods Company that had 60 employees. I did not ever write anything. I did not ever sell anything to anybody. I didn't do anything. There's a blogger that paints me. Let me tell you something. I've been a board member for 34 years. I've never been complicit in any wrongdoing in my life. I repeat that. I've never been complicit in any wrongdoing in my life. And complicit means being a part of, whether you get money or whatever it is. If you facilitate the money, the wrongdoing to happen, you become complicit. I have never been complicit. So to answer your question is, my salary was never changed in 10 years, and I got hired in 2010. I never sold anything. I never wrote anything. My job, I said, what's an ambassador? An ambassador is for you to go to San Antonio and represent us at the state basketball tournament, for you to go to Dallas and you represent us at the state championships in football, for you to go to Austin, and if they're having a general meeting of all the athletic directors of that area, you go and represent, make yourself known. Is there any way that we can help you and facilitate and do things? Okay, and that was my job. My salary never changed. until I retired in 20, when I don't even know, 2020, 2019 it was, what really became 2020.
Coach, we have
One of the questions that coming up is like been popped up 3 times. Was money from special education used in order to build the scoreboard?
Absolutely not. I told you where the money came from, and TRE came from TRE. And the thinking behind it is, I've always been a proponent. Why should our kids not have what other kids had? We had a junior high scoreboard. People didn't want to play here because of the scoreboard. That's what you know. You mentioned something about it, seeing your picture, but how about the 3,000 parents that saw their kid's picture that they could see it? Because when you got to the whatever it is, south, the north end of the state, you couldn't see you couldn't see the picture of the kids' faces. I mean, here we have 12 years of education, of sacrifice. Probably in some cases the first person to graduate out of school, high school, and you can see them. Hey, why should FAR? Well, you had a board member, Philip Cowan, went to see FAR Stadium. He was impressed and amazed at how it was. Remember, the vote went 7-0 on the scoreboard. And I'm proud about the scoreboard. I'm proud of the things we have. I'm proud that I brought the Sam's people to build us another dressing room over there, so we could have teams dress out there instead of in a facility where they come dressed in a bus.
Coach, one of the things that we've been hearing a lot are the parents being dissatisfied with our school district, and they're moving their kids to charter schools. What can a new board try to promote to make sure that we are not losing kids to charter schools, Coach?
Well, unfortunately, that's going to happen. But in order to keep our kids, there are two things that kids come in school for. One, I just told you, was co-curricular and extracurricular. Those two programs, the fine arts program, the athletic program, the other programs outside of the school system where you don't get credit, which is extracurricular, they attract kids, who, and I'll tell you this, I'm a founder of South Texas, okay? It was first, and what's a founder? How can a guy be a founder? Well, you start something, and the late Raul Bastedo and I went with Jim Bates, the senator, to Austin to create this district. There were two people that represented Cameron County, Mr. Bastedo and myself, two people from Willacy and two from Hidalgo, and they represented them, okay? We started this district to help the handicapped children, the children that were mentally challenged, that had to go to Waco and had to go to Austin to be taken care of because there were no facilities. So we started that, which eventually became in 10 years afterwards, 17, whatever it is, 2019. It started about 40 years ago. Anyway, 10 years after it started, it became South Texas. South Texas, what is now the number 8 school in the nation. So, to answer your question, what keeps kids in school? Co-curricular and extracurricular activities, which is Brownsville is known as the state capital of soccer. That's extracurricular. Okay.
Coach, one of the questions is, where have you been? Where were you when times were tough here this past March? What were you doing to help our students?
Praying that we could get over this, praying that we didn't have leadership that said it was a hoax, which we did have leadership on the board that said that, praying that we could understand what we have. What could I do? Shelter in. What did my kids want me to run for the board? No, you've done enough. I owe it to Brownsville. I owe it to Brownsville because anything I have, it's been Brownsville. It's been the kids of Brownsville that give me their hearts when they play. Everything. I love Brownsville. I mean, Brownsville. I wish I could have been Brownsville been born in Brownsville because there's no discrimination here. There is discrimination in the Upper Valley where I came from, where I was born, where I was a participant in the senior play as the man who came to dinner. In the movie, it's an African American. In my hometown, it was the only Hispanic to be asked to be in the play. That's where I came from, okay? Where they've overcome of that. You have to remember this, that I was honored by Brownsville to be selected as the first Hispanic head football coach, athletic director of the highest level, which was 4A at the time. Now, if we have 44 schools, 41 are Hispanic boys, men. Okay. I broke the barrier. You might say I opened the door, whatever it is. So do I owe Brownsville? Yes. Am I, what could I do?
Coach, what is your stance? Do you believe we should open campuses for face-to-face? Yes or no?
There's a way of opening. There's a way of for example, let's give you, I'll just throw it back out to you. Why don't we open the schools where we can have distance? It's not favorable until it's safe. We got to remember that safety of the students and our employees, that's the most sacred thing. But there is innovation of how to do this. When I explained to us when we had 5,000 students, how we only had one pep rally in all those years, 7 years that I coached there at that time or whatever it was. Anyway, you have to sacrifice to give up things. Right now, the answer is no, unless it's safe. Is it safe for a student? Can you imagine being a board member that makes a decision and lose a student? I couldn't face that.
Well, this current board has made decisions that have placed our staff and our students in danger. We have had staff that has been sent onto campus that has passed away, and we have had staff that has been sent on campus that has been gravely, gravely ill. So, yeah, about that, the board that would make such a call, this board, because this board just doesn't care. Coach, why did why did Rivera get the dome? Why them and not other schools, other programs?
Well, you have to remember there have been improvements in all other schools except Rivera. Rivera, and if you go back and search 30, 35 years ago, I was the only board member that voted against Rivera. Why? Because first, there was a board member that was a part owner of one of five owners that owned the property we were buying, and I said, absolutely not. So 5 months later, the guy says, I sold my property. Well, I'm still going to vote against you. I'm going to tell you why. Rivera will be built on the smallest area of a high school in the state of Texas. And that was proven by the last time on the board when the board hired somebody to survey all the schools. And I personally had asked him, he was speaking about the high school, they're doing good, whatever. When Rivera was first built, the first thing you see is 3 sets of facilities brought in to make the school large enough for it to open. Okay. And then Rivera is built on the smallest, proven by research of this gentleman, a company out of Houston, that Rivera is built on the smallest campus of a high school in the state of Texas. 24 acres. We own 32 acres. 8 have not been used and cannot be used at all. So wow. Tell me, I mean, will we make the decision to say, well, you know what? We're only going to send 9th graders at 2 schools at Rivera, and utilize it and do away other high school, Edinburgh builds a new school and they do away with the high school. Yeah. So they're always they got 4 high schools. They're all within 15 years old or whatever they are,
Are you in any way connected to Sylvia Atkinson? What are your thoughts on her federal charges, and should she have resigned her board seat?
Well, that's in the first place, all I can answer that is I've never been complicit in wrongdoing. It's not for me to make judgment on that, and I was not any participant in that. The people involved, the people that changed the schedule from the agenda from Wednesday to Friday became complicit, whether they knew the wrongdoing or not. When you become a part of something that is wrong, and you vote or you make the adjustment to facilitate that, you become complicit. And whoever changed that agenda, and that's my understanding. I don't know enough about it, and
I'll tell you.
of course, it's bad for the district. I mean, there's no question about that. Nobody can ever say it's good for the district. It's wrong for everybody. I'm sorry that happened. But
I could fill in the blanks. I could tell you exactly who was the one that was complicit and who were the ones that actually made the superintendent add that onto the agenda, and that was Drew Brown, Prissy Roca Tipton, Minerva La Pingüina Peña. Those are the individuals that were complicit with Sylvia Atkinson in regards to her current indictment right now, 100%. And Laura, and they could all fry, as far as I'm concerned. All of them, they could all fry, and they deserve to fry. They deserve to fry for any relationship that they had to that vile, vicious, bullying, horrible woman, Sylvia Atkinson.
Well, I'm here to speak about my plans and my goals. Number one was to you lost my train of thought. Number one was the safety of the kids and our employees, and number two is to proceed with the fine arts program. And it should be named Bob Bassetti deal. Bob Bassetti. Coaches and the coaches' wives. There's supposed to be a conflict. I don't have any conflict. My late brother-in-law, bless his heart, we buried him 2 weeks ago, was president of the Association of Texas, which how many schools do we have? There's 17,000 or whatever it is, 1,700 school districts, etc. And how many schools, whatever it is. He was president of all the band directors, and his son was a president after he retired. And his two sons played at the marching band at the University of Texas, and I'm proud to say that I'm proud of them. So there's never been a conflict with me in athletics and bands. I was invited, my wife and I were invited when they took 7 bus loads of kids for 10 days in Europe. My wife and I were invited as chaperones. So how can I be against fine arts? I'm for fine arts. I'm for proceeding with that. My third goal is to ensure that we withdraw and get away, keep our promise that we made to the people. It's hard to be elected or re-elected when you raise taxes, but we had to raise taxes in order to help out and rebuild our students. With air conditioning was going down and so forth. It cost you millions of dollars and so forth. And it's my understanding that one of the contracts that went out, they're mentioning total of $19,000 thrown against us when we ran for re-election. That's fine. I mean, they want to do that, and it's for a vendor to supply that kind of money to anybody, that's ridiculous. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's my third reason for running.
Good. In regards to Cynthia, yes, Cynthia. Actually, the superintendent has called all principals to a face-to-face meeting on Wednesday at Veterans Memorial Hospital, despite the fact that Veterans Memorial High School, or it should be a hospital since it's already been closed a couple of times because of the coronavirus cases that have been found there. Now he's asking for our principals to come onto campus for a face-to-face meeting. Why? Didn't they say in the meeting that everything could be done via Zoom, via online, where there would be no danger to anyone in contracting any sort of virus whatsoever? It makes no sense. It's all, and you're very right, little by little bringing people back. And this had already started by them trying to call every single individual out there essential. It's madness. Hey, Maris, how's it going? Well, Lopez was represented at TMEA, one of the best bands in the state of Texas, and the city still doesn't have a fine arts center. Why? Why does it? Let me tell you, it wasn't. It's not the city's responsibility, Aaron. It's not the city's responsibility to build the district fine arts center. It is the district, this board, and you have heard the videos are there that Philip Cowan said, "Hell no, no building performing arts center. Hell no." He said it on a video. You've heard Drew Brown say it's in the back burner. No performing arts center. You've heard Minerva Peña say no performing arts center. She has said it. No way, Jose. It's very simple, folks. You vote to bring back Minerva Peña, there's going to be absolutely no chance that we're going to be able to build a performing arts center. None. That woman is the stupidest politician that this community has ever voted into office. The most stupidest.
Well, we have to look at why they purchased that 20 acres of land. If you can't use it, you have to put $1.5 million, $1,000 to bring it up to par to do anything. So that we need to change it unless we want to build it there. But we have to look at this. We have to, and we wanted to collaborate with the city, because regardless of what we have, the city at one time is going to use it. It can be an attraction to have, people come into the city to have meetings, that require, for you to have 2,000 seats somewhere. To build two of them, that's a Taj Mahal. To build one, large one that it meets the standards of what the band people or performing arts people. I know Bob Bassetti was involved when we were trying to make the plans of do this, and we were on our way to getting it done before they changed the boards.
I will say, in regards to Nelda's question and Chester, I mean, those aren't questions. I won't ask them. But Nelda's, and I will try to answer this. What are your thoughts on middle schools who were promised tracks and yet to receive them? I know for a fact that we were on the process of getting the tracks done for our middle schools. I'm going to say that the Sylvia Atkinson mess fiasco put a stop to it. Also, I mean, you have to understand that a lot of the resources were drained. A lot of the resources were drained because of what Sylvia did to the district. It really, really set the district back in ways that a lot of people to this day have not and will not comprehend, because there's a lot of information that they refuse to dish out and a lot of other information that they can't dish out because everything was documentation that the federal government took upon themselves to use against Sylvia Atkinson and against her co-conspirators, which most definitely, in my opinion, include Laura Perez Reyes, what's her name, Drew Brown, and definitely Minerva Peña, and definitely Baltasar Salazar. It is what it is. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, which didn't help matters at all. Oh, my God, my goodness. Mr. Rodriguez needs to just enjoy being home and be retired with respect. Uncallable. BISD needs a new, modern, and bigger stadium with more parking. I understand Sam's historic, but don't you think our students deserve a better playing field to play football, have marching contests? I will answer part of that one. Actually, that was one of the reasons why the stadium at Veterans was built, was to have that option because there were plans that were made in order to make Sam's Stadium a little bit bigger and a little bit better. With that said, I will say, and I know because I was on the board back then, we had a stop in the road. We couldn't add on a lot to Sam's Stadium because it is now a historical monument, a historical building, a historical facility. So again, we go into the historical part of it. There's very, very little you can do with Sam's Stadium. Really?
Let me interject.
Sure.
Erasmo. Sam Stadium, like I said, there's nothing like it, in the state of Texas. It would cost you $80 million to replicate that. But, we can make it better. We can make it better by changing the sides of where the home uh, side is, and we were on our way to doing that by purchasing property for parking on the Elizabeth side. We have acreage over there that
Yes.
we bought to make parking. So change the home side to where the sun doesn't hit you. Let's be smart. That's what other schools have done. It's not necessarily to be the home side where it is to hit the sun, have the sun hit you. There's all kinds of things that can be done. I mean, you cannot. Another thing is, let me tell you this about the veterans deal. Veterans, is it fair for veterans, the other schools, to play veterans when veterans, that's their home field? It's not fair. They go to Sam Stadium and say, hey, at least it's not your home field because that's where you practice. If you're going to build fields for everybody to deal, then you have to go the whole enchilada and build fields to where everybody has a home field where they can have a game. But that would be very, very costly. So why not build another stadium like other people do and have two stadiums so you won't have to play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday every weekend to put in your 30 home games,
Did BISD make a contract with Apex when you were on the board, Coach, and was a relative of yours the sales representative for Apex?
Who is Apex?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we'll go to the next one. During your time on the board, why were mostly all athletic-related purchases done through BSN Paragon Sports, which is the company that you were the ambassador for?
I don't know. They're salesmen. I didn't go into any district, any coach to say buy this or buy that. Maybe they had the best prices. Maybe that's why they went from 60 employees to 10,000 employees. Maybe that's why they became the largest supplier of athletic equipment for high schools.
Awesome. Students involved in fine arts and sports are not leaving to private or charter schools. Amen, brother. Gente sangrona are the ones move their kids to new schools. Yes, again, the fine arts and the athletics are what attract a lot of our students back onto the campuses. Now, Coach, we're going into the political aspects of the race, and your opponent has been there for 12 years. Your opponent in this race, what could she offer the school district these next 4 years if she was elected and you weren't?
I don't know. Let me tell you this. It's been attributed to the president of the board that she thought this pandemic was a hoax. And, after 180,000 of our citizens have died, and we have the largest of anybody in the world that have been hit by this virus, that it's no hoax. And I hope that you parents keep this in mind. You got to take care of your children. There is no hoax about this. That is tough on you. Yes, it's tough on you. But you got to be the adult to say everything's going to be all right. You got to ensure them that there's going to be okay. Remember, everybody, that the seniors that expected to play their last year, to be perform in the band and be able to compete for state championships like they do in band or whatever they get the highest award. You got to remember when they go to contest. I always made fun of my brother-in-law. If they have 8 in the district, 7 of them, you got to be real bad to get a 2. And usually you get tired. So you get 7 ones, you get 7 winners, which is good. I mean, that's good. The thing is competition for the kids that they can enjoy and remember. I mean, we've had people like Ernie Garrido played at the University of Texas. I mean, those guys, Frankie, congratulations when you played a linebacker for Hannah in 2005 with the great Tony Villarreal. Him and his dad are in the Hall of Fame. They're one of 2 parent and sons that are in the Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Fame. Yours truly is also in there with his father. And, anyway, congratulations to that effort, Ernie, Frankie, because, you all did a good job.
Why is it that students' grades for fine arts is not being used for GPA purposes? Why was that taken from our students?
The GPA.
Yeah.
I never had that. We don't get involved in those decisions. It has to be from a state level. I mean, there is some state level that I think they increased from one credit in athletics to 2 credits, but I don't know why any were taken away from co-curricular, from extra co-curricular.
And I will say this, Tony. I don't even know the complete facts or the reasoning behind it, but I will say this. I will fight to make sure that it gets rectified. I mean, I don't care if we have to. One of the things that I did when I was on the board, I was able to travel to Austin to fight for public schools and public education, and it's something that I promise I will continue to do. I will continue to go up to Austin and demand that things get changed at that level. There's a lot of change that has to be affected. With that said, change starts here first. We've got to change that what is the most pertinent right now. And I agree with Coach Joe Rodriguez that the first priority for all of us right now is the safety of our students, the safety of our staff. Has to be. So it is very, very fair to say that the decisions that this current board have made, the decisions that have been made by the upper administration, not providing our nurses with masks, with proper PPE, sending individuals back to campus, medio limpiando Egley Elementary after they sent people back, and an office staff tested positive. Now we know another staff member there at Egley has tested positive. The personnel from Lopez High School tested positive after we find out that they were out there distributing a lot of material to parents and to other individuals. Guys, it's not a hoax. I don't care what Minerva Peña says. It's not going away in 3 weeks. The numbers, they appear to be down because as of today, we got 551 positives. But guys, again, and I've said this since March, stop focusing on the positive. Focus on the deaths. And just today, we had 16 deaths in the city of Brownsville. Reported 16 deaths in the city of Brownsville. It's very unfortunate. For my question, I'm talking athletic equipment, indoor practice fields, middle school tracks. They were all the same company under Paragon BSN. I think Coach answered that question. One of the things I think that is very important, Coach, and I think people need to know that board members need not get involved in the process.
Let me say this: the question is wrong because Paragon is one company and BSN is another company. They don't even do the same kind of thing. So the question is totally erroneous, and under the TRE, I think before we left the board 2 years ago, we were well on our way. And if I recall, we had one where one of the candidates' husbands was a coach there, where we built the first track that we started on. And after that, what went on after that with the TRE money and funds, that was it went on. I haven't even heard that name mentioned in 2 years.
Well, the reason that I make mention is especially in regards to board members should have very little to do with vendors. I submitted an open records request to see if my opponent and her family had any contracts out there with BISD, and lo and behold, they sure as heck do. I submitted an open records request, and what the BISD ultimately decided to do was to send the request to the Attorney General, as they always do, for an Attorney General opinion. Well, they did inform the Lopez family, that they were curious in regards to just that the questions had been asked, and if they had any objections in regards to sharing the information. Because, guys, at the end of the day, it's for a lot of these individuals that are running right now who are involved with Sylvia Atkinson. It's all about the contracts. It's all about the contracts. And the Lopez family at this time have contracts with BISD. And it is very, very apparent because they've submitted requests to be a part of the insurance contracts, because that is the company that, the Lopez family, they deal with. They deal with insurance company. And again, you're talking, guys, about a 45 million chunk of the pie at BISD. And Select Advisors is an insurance company where Mr. Lopez, the Lopez family, are involved in. And not only the Lopez family, but also Mr. Levere, who used to be one of our CFOs back when Mr. Lopez decided to take a Disney World vacation at the cost of taxpayers. The cost of taxpayers. So, guys, it's all about the contracts, and that's one of the things that why we have to be very, very concerned. What happens when a board member starts to get involved in regards to the contracts, to the sales, to everything else? Then they're delving into governance, and then you're becoming another Sylvia Atkinson. One of the things that I think that is important for everyone, and again, I appreciate Coach Rodriguez answering, tough questions from people and tough opinions out there. But the role of a board member is never, ever, ever to get involved with any contracts, any which way whatsoever. Well, guess what, folks? Now the vendors are not only wanting to put money in the pockets of board members. Now the vendors want to put board members on the board. So I'm sorry, guys. If anyone ever had any doubt in regards to the Lopez family's involvement in regards to trying to obtain contracts and take a chunk of the pie, guys, they just want to circumvent the matter. Now they want to get a board member voted into office. And it's just a shame. Frankie, what is your take in regards to vendors wanting to enter BISD?
For far too long, individuals have used their position, which should be our community's position, for their own enrichment. We have seen how time and time again, vendors have tried to buy seats at the table for the district. The district being a $500 million, it's like a Fortune 500 company. And we see people trying to pull and tug every which way. That's why it makes this election important like no other. We have an opportunity as a community to take control of this board. We have a sitting board member who's been indicted on bribery allegations that she took $10,000 from a federal agent. So it's very tough in regards to, vetting these candidates, seeing what they're all about, and, what they could bring to the table. Garza, thank you for bringing that up, Garza. Yes, that is correct. I did send an inappropriate picture through Snapchat a few years ago. It's not something that I'm proud of. Many people, the individual in particular, it was wrong. It was a bad mistake. At the end of the day, I understood going into this political world that this would come up. I have not and will not let this define me. I understand people want to crucify me for it. They have on the blogs. Hey, more power to them. Adversity builds character. I will not let one mistake define Frankie Olivo. I have been on the tube since COVID-19 pandemic back in March, day in and day out, answering our community's questions, and I'll continue to do so. And I appreciate you bringing it up, Garza. I have nothing to hide. I got pretrial diversion, which was not a hookup. A hookup would have been that it was just been thrown under the rug. I got it expunged from my records. I dealt with it. I took ownership of it. I could come on here on the tube and tell you that it was a mistake. I've owned up to it. I was always taught that forget the mistake, but always remember the lesson. I'm willing to be here in front of you to answer these tough questions. If that is not enough for you, if just by that is not good enough to merit a vote, I understand. But what can we teach our kids? We all make mistakes. We all learn from them. But most importantly, we all become better individuals. I come on here to take these tough questions. Why? Because I want my community to know that I'm real, that I'm human. Hey, every day I need the forgiveness of my God. I'm trying to be a better person. I'll throw LeBron. You know, we all strive for greatness. Am I perfect? No, but I'm learning. We evolve as individuals. Again, I come on here on the tube willing to take these questions. I went on the forum a couple of days ago at AOBE, taking live questions in regards to the district. Where are my opponents? My opponents probably feel that all they have to do is put up signs throughout the city, and that is enough for them to merit a vote for them. I will say that's not right. We need the candidates to be out here like Coach, like myself, to answer our community's questions. That is the only way that we would be able to vet the candidates. So, you know,
Coach, the hour is up, Coach, and I know that you have to leave us, Coach. Again, guys, weren't able to get to everything out there, Coach. Thank you so much for your time. We'll let you go, and we're going to stay on to answer some more questions out there. Coach, open invitation of any other time that you're willing to come back on. Please do so. And any final words, Coach?
Well, I want to thank you for hosting me, and Frankie, let him who has no sin throw the first stone. Okay, and there's a saying in my office at Champions at my office that says, if you make a mistake, admit it and don't repeat it. So everybody makes mistakes in life, and I do want to tell you about my candidacy, that I'm not afraid to question why, and I'm not afraid of being the majority of one, like I was taught. The late Albert Bastedo taught me that when he left the board. I said, "You're going to leave me alone." He said, "Joe, don't ever forget you can be a majority of one." That's why I voted against Rivera High School, the great Rivera High School, not naming the school after the great Simon Rivera, but the position where Rivera High School is very near and dear to me, because they've won more championships than anybody, gone to the third level, than anybody under Coach Chavez. That seemed like good people get reassigned and stuff, or whatever they are. And just like Dr. Sendejas, I'm gonna tell you this. She wasn't good enough to run Brownsville, but she was good enough to run 19 school districts in Region 2. But anyway, I just want to thank you for having me, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. I won't shy away from it. I'm proud of what I've done for our kids. We broke the ice on having turf. Now everybody has turf in the valley. I'm sorry we weren't the first one to have a nice scoreboard that could be paid for itself if the public wanted it. But I'm sure that the 4,000 parents that have seen their pictures of their kids at the scoreboard say, you know what, we did a good thing. We needed a scoreboard and not have a junior high scoreboard and a Coliseum, instead of Sam Stadium. It ought to be Coliseum, because that's what I think of it. I want to thank you, Brownsville, for giving me the opportunity to coach your kids, for breaking the door down for Hispanics to be a part of what this great state of Texas is. And if I'm elected, so be it. I want to run as clean a race as I can, at the same time bringing out total facts of this is not a pandemic. It's not, it's not a hoax. I'm sorry. It is a pandemic. It's not a hoax. It's there, and the being a parent, the biggest responsibility of a parent is to take care of his kids. That's it. And um, I don't know what else to say. We need school. We need to educate our kids, but this is new to everybody. So any ideas that can come forth, I've thrown out my ideas of schooling, having half school day schools. Maybe first at grades 1 to 3 in the morning and 4 to 6 in the afternoon. That's just an idea. It's just an idea. I've thrown the homework hotline. It's an idea. You don't have to do it, but those are ideas and need to be thought over. Thanks a lot. God bless you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to express myself and why I'm here and why I'm a candidate. I'm not afraid to ask why. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach. Have a great evening.
Thank you. God bless.
And that was Coach Joe Rodriguez. And again, guys, I mean, you're going to be amazed, but we couldn't get through all the questions, and the coach, wanted an hour and no more than an hour. So it's that time. Great comeback. The Sylvia Atkinson question is important and necessary. I don't think he answered the question. She should have resigned her seat. Should have. She definitely should have. But let me say this, Kat, and in a certain way, I didn't really want her taken off the seat in a weird way, because at the end of the day, she wasn't going to be able to come back onto the board. And I've always said this. I thought, man, it's killing her. It's killing her to be on the board and not being able to come back on the board. So that was one of my reasons as to why I was going like, no, hombre, aquí se quede, just so that she'd have that pain. The right thing would have been for her to resign, but we know her already. She's bullheaded. But let me tell you something. She's talking. She's cooperating. And the reason that I'm saying that she's cooperating is very, very simple. It's very, very simple. She was told not to come back to the board, not to have any type of contact, any type of relationship with anyone, the victim, with her co-conspirators at all. We already know that the co-conspirators are Minerva, Laura, Drew, Baltasar Salazar. It's very simple. Why would they let her come back into having contact with them? Because she's cooperating. So at the end of the day, and look, we know she was making phone calls to all the politicos in Brownsville, letting them know that she was going to run for BISD. But because she's talking to the feds, she's cut a deal with them. One of the deals was, that's fine, you just won't be able to run for board because she's going to fry. But now that she's talking, she's going to take people with her. And I'm going to be so very happy.
So you think that she's in there to make everybody at ease, to say, oh, she's back, so then we have nothing to worry about, and let their guard down, or what? And then maybe slip something, or
100%. And the more information she could take back to them, the better cushy deal she'll get for herself. So, Philip, that you were out there hugging her, and everybody else out there that was having, crumpets and tea with her, good luck. My finger smells like my... That sounds kind of weird. No conflict, yep. And that's why Hannah lost her marching band field to make their way to the gym that is construction, thanks to Mr. Rodriguez. Let me tell you guys, again, I'm going to say this because I asked the same questions. It made no sense whatsoever to build the gym where the gym is being built right now. No sense whatsoever. They took away my band's marching field, practice field. And they make them practice hasta allá hasta la mamá de Tarzán, when they could have easily built the gym on the other side of Hannah. You're crazy. So, bye. What are your thoughts on the employee benefits that have been running at a deficit for years? Now employees have to contribute. Let me tell you, Nelda, San Benito, 0. 4% increase in salary. Employees part for insurance, 0. Mute.
Ah, how hard do you think it's going to be with this new board coming on? We have talked about how this current board is tapping into the fund balance. Are they trying to handicap the future board from implementing any future changes? How hard do you think it's going to be for the new board members to actually implement all the things that we have been, advocating for? Do you think it's going to be that they're trying their best to wrap our hands to avoid us to even fulfilling our promises?
I'll answer that real quick, but let me answer Dave's real quick. David, and I'm sorry if my fine arts people know that I've supported everything. I was at the dance recitals, everything, and I'm sorry. Sometimes I'll use band, but I'm talking about fine arts, and people know me. And sometimes I'll say teachers, and they say, Erasmo, what about the office staff? I'm referring to everyone, and it's just easier just to name one. And I'm sorry, maybe I should just say staff and fine arts people. But when I personally say the bands, I'm referring to all fine arts. And maybe it's just because the band is probably the biggest, the largest of the fine arts departments out there. It's like teachers make up more personnel than our diagnosticians and our counselors and our office staff. Does that make sense? And again, it's just a way of saying the teachers, but representing everyone that has a part in the educational process, which even fine arts does as well. And when I talk about bands, I'm talking about anyone that falls under the fine arts umbrella. Sorry, and I want to make that clear. In regards to the fund balance, let me tell you guys, it's going to be very, very difficult for any upcoming board that gets selected, to recuperate, because as of right now, they're dipping into the fund balance like I dip into white chocolate. Let me tell you, I love white chocolate, and it's such a shame, because at the end of the day, the only individuals that they're hurting are our students and our staff. Now, I won't say teachers, and our community as a whole. That's who they're hurting. But again, guys, they don't care. They don't care. This current board does not care. And to this day, this current board thinks that everything they've done has been amazing. I mean, look at the comments that they made on in the Herald, in the paper, and everywhere else. They literally think that they have done a most amazing job. They have absolutely not. White chocolate.
You weren't kidding.
Look, I carry white chocolate everywhere I go.
I just like the white Hershey's during Christmas. That's the only time I like them.
Guys, but let me tell you something. As hard of a situation as they've left behind, I have faith that voting in the right people, we could turn it around. We could steer it clear of all danger that they have placed us in, of all jeopardy. Look, guys, it's working, folks. It's working. Just today, I got a beautiful, beautiful inbox message from someone. They said, Erasmo, I went to go pick up food for my kids. And let me tell you, the changes that they've already made to the food nutritional services for our people out there is amazing. All the different sections have tents now. They seem to be hydrated. Some schools let them come in jeans. Hudson had this like little mega airplane fan out there blowing cold air towards them. And what they said is very true, guys. Erasmo, you're already affecting change now without being on the board. I can't wait when y'all get on the board. And again, it's going to be an immense job to make right what these people have done wrong. But you know who has the answers? You have the answers. You all have the answers. Y'all just haven't been given the opportunity to come to the table to share your ideas, your suggestions, your recommendations, because you are the experts. My teachers, my bands, my staff, everyone. You all have the answers. they have just treated you as if you only deserve the crumbs. Baby, this is your cookie. This is your cookie. Stop selling for crumbs and come pick up my damn cookies. Well, let's clean out the rat's nest. Preach, bro. It's time. If elected, what would be Coach Rodriguez's first order of business? He spoke about it. I'm not going to speak for him. I hate doing that. But he did mention safety, which is got to be number one. If teachers and community want a performing arts center, everyone must demand it and work hard to get one. Teachers have to voice their opinions at once to school board meetings. Yeah, but especially let's hold the board member accountable. Look, guys, we just had a forum. Look, my opponent, all they want is the damn contracts. I mean, now we know that they have contracts and they want more contracts. That's all they want. If individuals that are tied to Sylvia Atkinson get elected to this board, you get nothing. You get nothing. And in my race and in Carlos Elizondo's race, it's just very, very clear. Cut and dry. I have no other choice. You know who are not Sylvia candidates. So I don't give a rat's ass, a rat's butt. Sorry, church. I'm not supposed to say ass. I don't give a rat's butt what people post on blogs, what people pay these Mexican stupid, ¿cómo se llama la imbécil, la Delia? I don't care how much money they get paid to write stupid stories, guys. I don't care. I just don't care. If you want some of the same crap by these nicely shaven, nicely fine combed, these world-trotting individuals who have these amazing little degrees and stuff, who can't answer a damn question on a forum to save their life, if these are the people you want leading the district, then you're getting nothing. Nothing. All you get is crumbs. So the individuals that are running for office right now demand answers. Will you be an advocate for our Performing Arts Center, our students, our staff? Will you hold this superintendent accountable? Will you reconsider the vendor situation? I'm talking about the vendor situation. Little Eddie, pobrecito, poor little Eddie. Little Eddie put an item on tomorrow's meeting agenda. Let's fire the board attorney. Let's fire the board attorney. And he actually thought he was coming in with guns blazing. Zoom, zoom. He's so used to his ban and his gudge, or his badge and gun. He's so used to his ban and gudge, like pim pim chum 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 chum. Board attorney, you're pum chum 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 chum. Board attorney, you're out. I got 1 vote. I got 2 votes. I got 3 votes. I got 4 votes. I got 4 votes. I'm gonna get rid of the board attorney. But guess what? The board attorney gave me Minerva $3,000. And guess what? Now Philip doesn't want to get rid of the board attorney. And you don't have Prisi and Drew because they love the money that Baltasar Salazar gives them. So it's just you, little Eddie, you and Laura, and you got played again. You got played again. So you go out there and you share those stories about that Delia and everybody else out there. You know what we call that in Spanish, little Eddie? Patadas de ahogado. In your case, pataditas. Those little legs. Pataditas de ahogadito. You stupid.
You think the motion's gonna die, Erasmo, or you think they're gonna table it for the next election, for the next meeting?
I'll tell you exactly what's gonna happen. Philip's going to say, well, I believe because there could be a possibility of a new board. Let's table it till November, so that then let the new board decide what they want to do with the board attorney.
Imagine if he says that word for word. Gee.
I'll be live streaming the meeting, guys. So we'll see what happens. Hey, Alfonso. Hey. Katsila had a dream that Sam Stadium had a parking lot. Let me tell you, part of the problem with Sam Stadium, guys, people didn't do their homework. So yeah, we bought crap loads of land all around the Sam Stadium in order to, extend the parking lot. Well, guess what? We can't build a parking lot. Can't build a parking lot.
So just wasted money pretty much?
Sort of. Well, there's a building on there that can't build a parking lot on. Guess why? Because it's historical. Historical. So they might build around it. It's just going to cost more money. You can't make this stuff up, guys. Love the cookies. Carlos Elizondo and t-shirts. Impa, let me tell you right now. Erasmo cookies are 100 times better. So I don't even have my vote. Using BISD monies to pay so much money on the scoreboard makes me wonder why did you get out of it? So I'll be honest, because you're just lying yourself. If you say you don't get anything out of it, sir, you're just like Sylvia Ag said, just looking out for the interest of your children. Hey, Kimberly. We all know the success that Coach Joe's had in the heydays, and he has instrumental in getting Brownsville in the map. However, he and Cowan tend to relish in the past. Is Coach Joe willing to work with a younger team of board members and entertain new and innovative ideas to move BISD forward? Thank you for calling me young. Love you, Joe. Sam Stadium is landlocked. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Erasmo, what's your thoughts? And this was a question that I was going to ask Coach Joe. He brought it up. Is there any possibility that we can use the sports park field for games, for playoff games? Because we do see how, we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday games. What if we have 2 games on Thursday or maybe 2 games on Friday or Saturday? Does that make sense? Or do we want to have a jam-packed house, 1 Brownsville game at Sam Stadium?
Well, we actually had some games played at the sports park. Look, all you really need is to have a good relationship with your city government. The sports park is Brownsville. So there's got to be a good, and let me tell you, the BISD is very generous to the city. And you all know it's been very, very generous to TSC, because that's how Sylvia got her job, how Prissy gets her promotions and gets all those advancements up there. BISD has been very, very generous. It's time for the city of Brownsville to be generous back to BISD. And it's not coincidence that the city is always asking BISD for something further. I'll give you an example, the zoo. They want the land that we have there at Cummings for the zoo. And when they came to me with that offer and they asked, hey, what about, breaking down with Cummings? I said, sure. How much do you want to give for it? Oh, we want you to give it to us. I said, are you crazy? What? Are you nuts? The city of Brownsville wanted me as a board member to give them Cummings and to give them that land for the benefit of the zoo. And I said, are you crazy? Oh, but we want you to, maybe take a little bit of cash, pennies on the dollar. I said, are you crazy? I'm here to protect. I was voted in to protect the money of my people, of my students. That's what I was voted in. Hey, guys, that's why I went to the FBI. Because I was going to keep my word to protect the money that belonged to my students, and I was going to be a good steward, a great steward. So no. And I shared with the city, hey, give BISD fair market value, It's a beautiful piece of property, fair market value. Break down with a number. But no, they wanted everything for free. Que chulos. No, come back with a good MOU memorandum of understanding, and where it benefits not only the city of Brownsville but also the city. Same thing with the sports park. Look, guys, my suggestion to the city of Brownsville: give the sports park to the district. Give the sports park to the district, and then the city, because the city can't afford it anymore. The city can't afford the sports park, and after this pandemic, it's going to be even harder to afford the sports park.
We have seen how they're having trouble with the Ringo Park, if I'm not mistaken, and the theater. The theater, is it Camila Playhouse, if I'm not mistaken, to upkeep, those buildings. So the sports park ran what, Erasmo, 40 or 60 million?
53.
53 million. So this is something that maybe the city might look into the future. Are there revenue right now with COVID? There's nothing, and we've seen playoff games, if I'm not mistaken, soccer games happening at the sports park. So right now, there's no money, no flow of money coming into the city. So maybe in the future, that could be a possibility.
Sam's recorded Texas history. It's kind of a weird deal, Eric, because the architect, and I can't remember the name, the architect is one of those historical architects. So he has built these historical buildings everywhere. And Sam Stadium was one of those buildings that he architected or something. I don't know what the thing is, but he's the guy that's the historical thing. So all of his buildings have been, by assumption or because he did them, architectural historical landmarks. Does that make sense? Something like that. Yeah, right. Come on, maybe, really? Apex, I believe, is software programs or something like that. I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know. I'm curious. You said best price. So $1.4 million for a scoreboard was a good price. No. I've said that before. And I've said it about the years. I don't think that we should have paid anywhere over maybe $1 million. I used to say 750, but then I started to see my face up there and I look like $1 million to me. So
how are the sponsorships at Erasmo? Are there several companies sponsoring or paying for advertisement, or is it just a minimal amount of them?
Well, it's kind of a weird deal, Frankie, because the people that were advertising on it were people that were running for board. I remember my opponent would come out like every 5-6 minutes on there. I mean, the guy must have paid. Well, Sylvia was on there. She probably got a discount, but must have paid a pretty penny, to constantly be coming out on the damn scoreboard. But after I won that election and my picture came up on there, and the crowd started to roar, I said, I used to think that the scoreboard wasn't worth $750,000, but with my picture on there,
it's a good investment.
$1 million, baby. I'm being funny, guys. Coach, will you support raising the stipend of the band directors? Right now, their stipend are half surrounding districts prior to their band directors. I'm sorry, we didn't get to that question. I'll tell you one thing right now. One of the things that I will want to do is make things right. I want to make things right. But I want to be very, very careful, guys. And I don't care who they opt to hire right now. They need not hire a fine arts director right now. As is, many of those positions at fine arts are part of my hope that they are reapplied for at the top position. Again, guys, I am going to ask a lot of the individuals on there that make it to the board that we take into high consideration that me make most of the individuals at the Glass Palace reapply for their positions. I don't care. And then effect an audit to make sure that the individuals that were hired properly. Because I know for a fact, like the architect wasn't the top guy to come out after the interview process. Philip was the one that pushed the architect. Drew was the one that pushed the IT director. She didn't want that Hispanic young man. to be an IT director. Drew was the one that pushed for Moody to be the public information officer. Hasn't done a damn thing. Let me tell you, can't send emails to save his life. But Drew's buddy. So no, guys, there's going to have to be a let's reevaluate the situation. Let people reapply for their positions. I don't care. Sam Stadium is the worst stadium in the Rio Grande Valley. BISD overpaid for billboard for old technology when Esco paid just a little more and the newest technology for the same vendor, BISD. Whose fault is that? Administrations. Joe, don't lie about your involvement with BSN Sporting Goods. You did tell coaches to buy from them. How much did you pocket? Saludos. Y'all speak the truth. Why hide facts? Always hide facts. Always. Coach, will you attend the football games at Sam's this coming season? And what do you think about the bleachers at Sam's that have no backrest? Would you put in seat sections? Again, Alex, we can't. It's crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but there's very little that we can do to Sam Stadium. It's like these historical people are nuts. Nuts. Hey, Erasmo, we have been without lights for 5 hours. Elizabeth, send me a message. I know exactly what area you're talking about. Erasmo, Apex is a digital curricular. It was voted and approved by board members. Should the board know what they approve and how they approved it will affect students 100%. And see, that's where a lot of the research comes in. But look you got little Eddie out there who doesn't even know that we voted for the compensation plan. You got Minerva that asked like 1,000 questions on things that she should have already read on during the weekend, but they don't. They don't care. They do not care. I can't believe that you have given your platform to this man who has stolen $1,000. Chester, again, I'm going to keep my promises. Anyone and everyone that wants to come on here, guys, to answer the tough questions, to face the music, to face the fire. Really, Chester? Come on, man. Don't you want to call? Don't you want an opportunity to call Coach Joe out like you have? Don't you want the opportunity to call out Sylvia Atkinson? It's an amazing opportunity, man. Change is right. Mr. Rodriguez, you had your shot on the board. Let's get some new blood on the board. Does no one else know why Joe was stealing? He pulled out his TRS for the failing bottling company. Send me an inbox. I honestly don't know about the bottling company, but I'd like to know. And not vote for those little brats running for board members. No. Has stolen more than Sylvia. I'm going to disagree because Sylvia has stolen millions and millions of our dollars. But again, I don't know the bottling thing. Send me an inbox, Chester. Why does La Pingüina think it's the host, and why have heard some of her siblings contracted it? When I've heard, because she's a Trumper. She's a Trumper. This man should have not even be allowed to be a candidate for BISD or the shady deals he has done when he was a board member. Fair. Bottom line is a lot of people connect with the fine arts have a trust issue with Joe Rodriguez and his past. They are all asking a lot of questions, and because they are unhappy with his treatment of the kids in the past, it's time to move on to someone new. That's a fair statement. Amen. Erasmo is now helping. Erasmo is now helping hide this. Helping hide what? BSN had sporting goods and were priced 4 times more than others. Again, that is why we need effective audits at all departments to find out everything that has been taken. Am I the only one that gets an eerie bad feeling about this guy? Go, Erasmo, great move. You have my vote, Joe Rod. It's all about the Benjamins. Oh, yeah, Disneygate. Frankie, the last starbender. It's all about the contract translations plan con maña. Disney, a mouse entertainment a la rat. The district needs to focus more on other sports than just football. It's not fair for students to get hand-me-downs because most of the money goes to football. 100%. 100%. And look we have, and again, I'm not going to answer for anyone, but a lot of times it's just easier to focus on one sport when you're talking about all sports. But I agree, man. I mean, we have an amazing soccer. And look, I've got the sign that shows that we have a soccer ball on there because we have an amazing soccer program. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Spot on, cheese. The board should have zero involvement with bids and contracts, 100%. Barbacoa Gate Security Services, and the list goes on and on and on. It's all about you are not letting him answer the tough. Okay. Vendors tried and succeeded greasing the palms. Uh, we had him answer every single question that popped up in the time that he was here, Chester. But fair. That's your opinion. He who has not sinned cast the first stone. Easy, Frankie. My vote is for Frankie Olivo. Eso, fregón. Brule.
Brule.
Saludos, Erasmo and Frankie. We are doing good, guys. Keep it up. 100%. Good for you, Frankie. We all make mistakes. Thank you, Coach Rod, for helping the soccer programs, Lopez Porter Rivera state championships. Thank you for answering. Thank you, Camilo. In understanding everything that's going on with vendors and BSD, but how can we, the community, trust you guys in not bending over for vendors? Con dinero, baila el perro. That's what the real rumors about Cornejo jumping aboard. If you guys win, why would you guys be doing the same as the Cream Board? Very easy, Rudy. I know corruption at BISD. I reported corruption at BISD 2 months after I swore an oath before you. I reported corruption at BISD. I walked my pretty little behind into FBI, shared information, shared evidence, and said, this is going on. This is going on. So I hate the fact that for far too long, vendors have controlled the system. And again, Rudy, I have never, ever, ever run a race with vendor money. I've never been a part of that program.
I think it's important for us to have this platform. You know, we've had individuals ask Coach, ask myself tough questions. And hey, we're supposed to do that to each and every candidate. And that's the beauty of having this podcast. We would be advocates of having an audit as soon as we go in. Everything's going to be transparent in every sense of the way. And that about, you know, Judge Cornejo, that's a conflict of interest. I will recuse myself of anything regarding that issue. So for somebody to say that, you know, that those are our detractors. So we're glad to have this platform. We're able to bring to light many of the things that are going on in the district, and we will continue to do so.
Does it bother you when people talk about the current board? Are you in debt with them anyway, political, personal? I think it was for Joe. No, no. A vote for who you want. It's your choice. I don't believe anyone has the right to come on here to belittle anyone. No one is perfect. I get it. Frankie's running for office, but if you don't like him, don't vote for him. Thank you, Rocco. Last one, Frankie. I just saw Edinburgh have their teachers 4% raise and 500 pandemic stipend and 500 more a month to their insurance. No taxes raised. Yes. And again, just mentioned San Benito. San Benito, 4% raise with zero insurance premium. Zero. You're right, Cat City. He never answered the question about being affiliated with Sylvia. Tom Chavez equals GOAT. Erasmo equals GOAT. He got, never mind. With all your respect, football teams don't win any playoffs. Anyway, the powerhouse in Brownsville is soccer. Yeah, soccer's king. Why don't they give more money to the soccer programs in Brownsville? They are the ones that always play the playoffs. Brownsville powerhouse in Texas. I think, and again, look, I love my soccer teams, and I believe that they should be treated fairly and equally. But with that said, I mean, it's a part of culture, guys. And I hate saying that, but it is a part of culture because there's a saying that says that football is king in Texas. And high school football is right there. You know, it's high school football, college, university football. It's king. And it's just a saying. It's just a part of our Texan culture. You know, but I agree with you. More money should be given to the other programs as well. Why don't they give more money to the soccer programs? I agree 100%. Small minds running the biggest district in RGV. Sad. So sad. So sad. Alamo. Yes, you are making changes already just by having your program on live and letting people voice their opinions. Everyone has a right to be heard. Yeah, and again, guys, you know, again, anyone that comes on here is subject to getting the tough questions. It's what it's all about, man. But to come on here and say, no, why you do? Come on, man. You want to have the opportunity to ask these people questions or to call them out in their face or not? Really? Preach. Everyone has complained and whined and offered their suggestions for every problem. Better vote. Better use your sick day to go vote, to reserve your absence for voting, or switch your days off for voting. I don't want to hear that they couldn't vote because they didn't have time. Preach. I love that one. State recognized band for more years and the others, and they have almost 40-year-old band hall. It's crazy, Juan. And actually, again, I fought for my middle school band halls that have mold and mildew, and right now probably Rona. You had me at chom 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 chom. State recognized band for more than 4 years. Yes. What historical about it? Did David Crockett take a piss or what? Yeah. Don't spend money on the parking lot. Big 10 stadiums are in packed neighborhoods, and people just park on the streets, use public transportation to walk. Like you said, they don't do their homework. They don't do their homework. They don't do their homework. I mean, and look, and I liked the plans, but then we found out that we couldn't build because part of another building is historical. We need more than one stadium. Yeah, we do. Erasmo's cookies are the best. Everyone needs to get some. They are the best. Arregle las escuelas primero. The city and BISD deal with what they need. Yes. The sports park isn't set up for football. Need more stands. Maybe. I understand that on the other side that there is the possibility of setting up or adding on more stands. I think the problem is that the city of Brownsville just ran out of money. They can't afford to do it. They can use public transportation to run shuttles to the parking lot, Sam's Stadium. And we have a parking garage here downtown. I don't think people use it. I've never used it. Oh, no, I've used it once. No tienen con la sports park, okay. Arreglen las escuelas y saquen las ratas. Apex is learning software with students and entire curriculum for students to gain needed skills and regain credit. Awesome. Erasmo, were you able to find out why PI food director was let go? Not yet. And that's going to be on tomorrow. Guys, there is no reason why we need to hire a supervisor for food nutritional services when my food nutritional service personnel are being threatened to lose their job or to have their hours cut. Another supervisor, no bitch, shut up. The young song girl, check it out. Thank you. Vote, 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 vote. Guys, Frankie, last words.
Thanks to our community. It's always a pleasure to be on here. Always willing to answer the tough questions.
Thank you, Alex.
We want our community to be able to understand that this is what we'll continue to be doing once we're on the board. This is your seat, and together we will bring about transparency, about being accessible, and bringing the change that we so desperately need. It is important for us to bring our family and friends and let them know to go out and vote. It is one of our biggest responsibilities in this country. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a good night. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
David, I'll answer the question very quickly. When our board members and our elected officials do well, praise them. Praise them. When they do wrong, call them out. And I'm going to think that the reason that one or two posts in regards to praising was because that one or two times that she did the right thing. And I'll tell you, I can almost guarantee you I know exactly what post it is. It was when she voted with us against Sylvia Atkinson to try and hire an independent individual to choose the next superintendent. But a week later, Sylvia still got her hands in the mix, and Sylvia still got what she wanted. But for that 1 second, she actually did a good job. She can't contain herself. I'm going to guess that's the post. So once Gutierrez left Edinburgh, they could afford to be fair with readers. Guys, Erasmo, Frankie, we need them on the board. Vote. Start a lacrosse and wrestling. Actually, I like the wrestling program idea. Lacrosse, not so much. Guys, have a great evening. Please, guys, it's getting time for curfew. So, guys, please just stay safe. If anyone has any needs, please go out there and provide for them. And, guys, please just be good to each other, and please be good to me. God bless.